He counted us down. Segment 3, Golden Black Live. Jason Butikofer. He's a busy man all day long, and then he's taking off a little time for us, to Deputy Athletic Director in his 3rd year, right?
Yep.
And
time flies when you're having fun.
that is right. It's been a busy time. Also came fresh off the trip to Ann Arbor last night. You watched a lot of college sports in your life, and this is a team, Purdue, that did some good things last night in a very tough loss.
Yeah, I was in Illinois the other day, and we won't spend too much time talking about that one, but I thought we came out with a lot of fight and, played hard for 2 halves plus 2 overtimes and ran out of a little bit of gas at the end, but, the energy that was out on the floor and led by Trevion last night, just every single play. I'm not sure I've seen him dialed in or as consistent as he was last night. Obviously, the numbers show, but great performances by Isaiah Thompson and others in a collective effort. So it's heading the right way. I think we're still trying to find our rhythm on the road. Still trying to find in general terms, kind of a consistent identity of who we are going to be from game to game. And so there, it's a young group. I mean, the other day, the deputy athletic director at Indiana was asking me, who do you guys lose after this year? And I had to think about it for a minute. Jihad Proctor, and that's it. Yeah. So, and I'd never really thought about it in those terms, ironically, until that moment. So, a lot of youth out there, a lot of guys getting road tested, and you like what you see. You just hope for more consistency.
Yeah, no question.
Yeah.
Matt Painter, I want to ask you, let Tom dive in here. You've been around a lot of coaches, and what do you, when you observe him, you're sitting right behind him during the course of this basketball game, what do you see? I mean, it's 3rd year being around him all the time, but what do you see in terms of what he brings to the table outside of the obvious? I
mean, he's so seasoned, and I mean, you look at Matt, and he's 48, 49, and he just kind of has that approach that makes you feel like he's well beyond those years, and obviously he's been road tested in the Big Ten as a head coach here for 15 years. You look at the echelon of big names, Coach K and Roy Williams, and you could keep going down that list. I mean, that group is about to exit stage left here, and retire, and Matt's that next echelon of guy in my mind. And I've been around a lot of college coaches, and I've been around a lot of programs, and just the coaching maturity that he has, at 48 is significant. And I think the most impressive thing is, the architecture behind the culture and the architecture behind how he's very intentional about doing everything is exceptional. I haven't seen it before. And he sticks true to his guns, and you kind of hear that cliche of, well, it's a process, everything's a process, and a lot of coaches throw that around, and I really see that here. You leave the Crossroads Classic at 7-5 or whatever, and there's a calmness associated with that for me personally, being internally, because he knows what he's doing, and he knows that there's a methodology to where we're trying to get, and really the hay is going to be made down the road here in the Big Ten, and there's a ton of parity in this league right now, so it's going to be an interesting ride.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, Jason, you've been here 3 years, like you said. It's gone by quickly for you.
Sure.
A lot going on in the future with the Rossett renovation, but look over your shoulder for us real quick. In your 3 years, give us an idea, maybe a few things maybe you're most proud of that you've been able to implement at the university.
Sure. I mean, I think, there's a lot. I love coming into an environment that I viewed as opportunistic. I think we have such a great fan base and such a great culture here around Purdue Athletics. And there have been some lean years in the football field, and the basketball program, hadn't quite, had been consistent, but hadn't really broken through like we did last year. But I think as you look to try to build momentum and elevate the brand nationally, that's a big one for me. And I think I hear pretty consistently from our external constituents that our social media and creative services and just how we've been a little bit more chest out, pitch forward in our approach. And I think people have noticed us nationally in that regard. And then when you look at kind of some of the day-to-day elements, I mean, we're probably a week away from, maybe 2 weeks away from selling out Mackey Arena on a season basis, every single game. First time since 98, 99 that'll have happened. And, we have a great product, and I think we're just doing some of the right things we're playing well on the floor. Last year we made a lot of hay, and this year it's been a little bit up and down, but, to see that, to kind of harness that fan support and fill that arena and kind of continue to make Mackey Arena the best place in the nation. Then you look at the other side of the coin, primarily, with football, 58% attendance increase in Ross-Ade since 2016, coupled kind of partnered with 93% increase in football ticket revenue during that period of time. Those in an environment or in a national landscape where numbers are declining everywhere, and even some of the big powerhouse programs, to watch our people latch on to this football program and to really latch on to, I think, that maybe a little bit more of that, a little less humble.
Yeah.
I mean, humble in the right ways,
Yeah.
but hey, we're going to put our chest out, and when we beat Ohio State, when we do certain things and we reach certain milestones and certain growth opportunities, that we're going to celebrate it. I think people have latched onto that and gotten excited about the Purdue brand.
Hey, why do you think attendance has become such a challenge at college football games? Like you said,
Yep.
even at some programs that have won a lot, struggle to fill the seats. I mean, gee, is there any one, two, or three things behind that, the lack of attendance, you think?
I think we're dealing with a much more distracted society. I think there's a lot of entertainment options, but I think in general terms, we used to, when I was at Arizona State in the athletic department in a metropolitan environment, we used to talk about the competition with the Coyotes and the competition with the Diamondbacks, and the entertainment dollar was what we always talked about. In my mind, it's not even the entertainment dollar anymore that you're trying to stretch. People obviously have options in Indianapolis and Chicago. I think it's just more general distraction. I think the ability to sit in front of your TV and watch, have 75 inches in front of you of HD quality, where the beer is, a foot away, and you got your smartphone and maybe your 4 other devices sitting right in front of you is attractive to folks. And I think just these younger generations are very distracted as well. And I'm 42 years old and I'm talking about younger generations, but the 21-year-olds are, it's a different deal. I've been really proud. You talk about things that you're proud of. Proud of our students.
Yeah.
I mean, wow. What basketball speaks for itself, and I think it'll always be that way. But with football, I mean, to have 12, 13, 14,000 students at every single game, I mean, we have, especially when the non-conference opponents come in, I almost can bet that there's going to be a phone call afterwards from somebody on their staff saying, hey, our AD said that your student crowd was unbelievable at football. How do you get them all there? And what are you doing to incentivize? You hear the word incentivize, you hear the word entice, you hear all these words. And, there's some things I think we've done creatively, and part of it's putting a great brand of football out there, but part of it speaks to the culture of our students and the culture of campus and the connected nature of it all. And that's exciting, and it's fun to be in a place like that. We've had Missouri make that phone call twice to us and be like, hey, what? Explain to us again, so it's been fun.
The trend, though, again, around the country and students is also is
It-
way down. Even
even
in
more.
Alabama, and Nick Saban had a lot of conversations, even publicly, about that. It's a little bit of the Purdue culture, but it's also making it a place that they need to be.
Exactly. I think you want to create an environment, that the students can latch on to. And a lot of that, some of that's pregame, a lot of it's in-game. And, you're trying to really thread the needle on the tradition of, the band, the Purdue band, and what that stands for. And, our older demographics with the students maybe wanting a DJ and wanting techno music. And,
I'm still having a hard
it's
time
like,
getting used to that, but
yeah,
it's all good.
but it's, you're trying to thread the needle. And I think you need to, in an ever-changing landscape, I think creating an experience for a broad base of your fan base, of your fans, and then communicating to them on all these different mediums to get them excited, right? I mean, it looks, if you're 60 years old, what you want to see, and that's why we've kind of went with Forge, is that printed publication to make sure that the people on social media are still, we're still able to tell them the story, where your 20 and 30 somethings are watching what you do from a video content standpoint on Instagram or on Twitter. So it's both. It's your fan experience and how you're getting people excited to get them there. It's such a diversified landscape that it's you're really trying to thread the needle in a lot of instances.
Yeah, different vehicles to reach different demographics, communication vehicles. And then that speaks to, again, the renovated Ross-Ade Stadium. People don't want to come to the game and sit in a 12-inch spot.
They don't?
And the south end zone's
Yeah.
from my could tell, has been a big success.
Yes.
I imagine the new renovated Ross is going to have a lot of similar, sections to it. They're almost like you're standing in your living room watching the ball game.
Sure.
I mean, it's a whole different experience, and you really, like you said, have to give people a reason to leave their house, drive to the game, spend their money to want to experience the game. It's got to be more than just a football game almost. It's almost a social event.
It is. You got to make it a social event. You need to have different sets of experiences for different demographics. I think one of the number one goals of this Ross-Ade Stadium renovation is diversity of product. I mean, right now we have suites and club seats, in Ross-Ade Pavilion, and in some instances, that's a great solution for certain segments, both depending on your financial demographic and your age demographic, your ability to enjoy those seats. I think for us, it's creating, right now, I think our, in rough estimates, to sit at the 50-yard line in the lower level at Ross-Ade Stadium is about $450. Well, to sit in the club seat, that's $1,600 to sit in the outdoor club. So to me, you have this huge gap of almost over $1,000 between your best seat in the lower level and your maybe worst seat in the premium area. And when you think about individuals in my age bracket and maybe the 30-somethings and maybe those that are in the early 50s, creating something in that $750 range, that $850 range, something that's a little more flexible where, to your point, it's a patio, or maybe it's a game-connected space. It's maybe something where I'm not married, but where my wife theoretically maybe doesn't love football, but can socialize with her friends and still be connected to the game, but not be, again, locked into a 12-inch, seat.
Somebody's knee in the back.
Knee in the back, pitch forward, and can't get out of the aisle.
Yeah.
So diversity of product is huge for us with this project. So we can speak to a larger demographic, and I think it's been very well known that we've went hard after Indianapolis. And to be quite honest, our goal with this project is to differentiate ourselves from the Pacers and from the Colts and from others, in that footprint. And I think we can effectively do that through this project. I mean, we already diversify ourselves from the standpoint that we have green space, we have tailgating. I love Lucas Oil Stadium, but it's concrete everywhere. And I'm not married, I don't have kids, but if I had kids, I think I would probably not let them get more than 2 feet away from me. Whereas here, I mean, I see it every Saturday up at Ross-Ade. I mean, there's kids throwing the football. It's like, where are these kids' parents even? Where are they? That's the beautiful thing about college football in West Lafayette. So.
Now, you can measure from outside that door all the way down to Ross-Ade Stadium, and the new scoreboard's about that big. Not quite, but really, tell us a little bit about it. It's down now, and I ride my bike through there occasionally, and tell us about the new South End video board and the timetable, which will be ready. Hopefully, not ready. It will be ready by the first week in September. But tell us about that and what's really unique about it.
Yeah, we started kind of tearing the thing down 2 days after the last football game, and there's a methodology to that because it is a long runway here with a goal to get it done like about the first week of August. To your point, it's the width of the field, and it's about not quite 4.5 times the size of the current board for those people that aren't good with feet. I'll throw it out that way. That's how it works in my head, and it's going to mammothly, stretch across that entire end zone
and move forward. That's
30 feet.
Yeah,
30 feet.
I think significant.
Yeah,
it's
going to feel right on top of right on top of folks, and I think the north end zone video monster ribbon board was a great addition. We got a lot of feedback. To me, this is that times from an impact standpoint times 20, and we were at a crossroads where it was a necessity for us to do something. I mean, the last video board limped through.
We made it though, right?
It made it. It made it.
At least no public problem.
We don't have to worry about getting the email. We used to get emails saying, "Hey, just why from an energy standpoint, you guys should turn off your video board at at night." Yeah. And be like, okay, how do we respond to this email? Because if we turn it off, we don't know if it's going to come back on. And we appreciate the fact that we're trying to conserve energy and we're trying to be good stewards.
Correct.
But we don't, you just were always constantly walking on eggshells with the previous thing. So the new board is going to be such a great addition. And, as you talk about getting people to get off their couch and come out and experience football, these are the type of amenities, and this is the type of kind of enclosed environment from a fan experience standpoint. It's just a necessity at this point in time. So
You mean I don't have a lot of time to answer this
Sure.
question, but what's the one biggest question or problem facing college athletics across the board, you think? Is it the image and likeness issue? Is there something else you think that really is front and center in college athletics that needs to be addressed?
I mean, I think the name, image, and likeness is at the forefront right now and is something that is being addressed. And, to me, it's 100% a federal, I mean, I know there's like 16 states or 15 states currently with legislation in the works. There's no way, in my mind, it doesn't become a federal, issue and raised to that level, because we can't operate. What I do know is we can't operate off of 50 different sets of rules. And I think there is so much value in the collegiate model, and people value the college athletics nationally at such a level that I don't think anybody's trying to ruin it, right? Trying to ruin competitiveness and things of that nature. So to me, it automatically rises up to the federal level, and there's starting to be those type of conversations. I think in general terms, to me, the biggest concern beyond that is just the NCAA is it's everybody's favorite target, and we got lawsuit, I mean, feels like there's just lawyers circling that place trying to find a chink in the armor that they can pursue. And some of it's, there's legitimate things going on right now that are spurning change that I think is change for the better. But in general terms, I think we also, from a public consciousness standpoint, can't forget about what is good about college athletics and the experience we're providing. And I think it's been lost, and I've been saying this for 5 or 6 years now, somewhere in the conversation it's gotten lost of what actually we do to provide, an unbelievable experience and education, sharpening their skills, to enter a successful life. From both a family and professional standpoint. It's amazing to have, I've done this, I've been involved in college athletics since 1996, and to see in my time at Iowa, Arizona State, Minnesota, Army, the lives that have been impacted. I mean, some of my roommates that I lived with at Iowa in the basketball program, even knowing what they're doing now and the lives they're leading and how differently that could have been without that opportunity is something I'm passionate about, and is something that is a reason I'm doing what I'm doing today, a very big reason. But I think that's been lost somewhere, and everybody's just, they're out to try to get a bigger chink in the armor. Everybody's kind of attacking the NCAA, so that's bothersome, and it's worrisome. But there are some legitimate things in that as well. I just hope that people understand that there's a model here that has some value in it, and we need to be very thoughtful and very careful about how the changes we make and how we move forward. I'm a huge advocate for student athletes and their welfare and the experience provided. So that goes without saying. And I feel like my colleagues in this industry there's a huge group of them that are right there with me. But we gotta walk through this and make sure that we get it right.
Yeah, that is, and maybe the last question, and we could go on and on about this, but hiring a Peyton Stovall and that type of move. Here's a guy that's actually an interesting story, because he really wanted to come to Purdue, wanted to go to Ball State, and was a terrific player, but has made a huge difference and has the potential, I should say, hasn't been there long enough maybe yet to make that huge difference, but in terms of that student-athlete experience.
Yeah, really good hire.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people watching know Peyton, and he's been such a great pillar of this community, and is really a model for what the student-athlete experience. He went through the student-athlete experience. He's lived it. He had bigger aspirations, on-court aspirations that maybe didn't come to fruition, and has found a great pathway in life for himself, and has a great family, and so he's lived it. And I think to be able to transfer that, his passion and his energy and his experience to Purdue and to Purdue athletics is a great situation for us. But we got to continually invest in the development of the young men and women that comprise our athletic department, and there's a lot of opportunity to do that. I mean, if I look at somebody like, let's say, a Cargill or whoever that is, if I'm looking at the the student athlete if I'm looking at my population of graduates,
Right.
you know, saying this all the time to our athletes at Southern Utah. You know, you have an ability to step into an interview. You should win. You know, one, you're into winning. You know, you're a competitor. You've been in an environment that has allowed you to hone, you know, deal with adversity, to work as a team, to do all these great things that maybe somebody that's just going to class every day doesn't get to hone all those skills, or doesn't get exposed to some of that. When you step into that interview, you should be just kicking the tail of the person that is on the other side of that fence, because the student athlete experience and what you went through just makes you such a better candidate. And I think, you know, rightfully so, corporations and businesses, they understand that, they see that, they want this type of talent. And I think that our ability to make sure that we are creating the best bridge possible to take advantage of that is critical, and that's where Willie Payton comes in.
Yeah, no doubt. He's a very, very impressive person and very directed. All right, well, we'll do this again. We try to. I tell Mike Babinski only once a semester, or it's in your contract. So
Yeah,
maybe
yeah.
once a year, but
I'm gonna have to reread my contract.
Yeah, you may have to. But, all right, we want to say thank you to Jason and also Brian Newbert and Tom Dienhart and for being a part of this show. I want to thank our sponsors too: Hilton Garden Inn, Triple X on the hill but on the level, of Purdue tradition since 1929. Of course, State Farm agent Trent Johnson as well. 10 years of doing the show, so we appreciate all you guys for being with us all that time. And we look forward to next week. Yes, Jason said it's going to be a special show with Dan Ross, but Dan doesn't know what he's getting into yet. But I'm really looking forward to that as well. We'll have some other guests as well. We hope to have, we're obviously going to be ramping up to the start of spring football as well, so a lot to talk about as we go from week to week on Golden Black Live. Have a great week, everybody. Hope the weather stays good where you are, and we'll look forward to seeing you next week on Golden Black Live.